Hey Rick, I guess what I don't see is for the daily log, like for me, a common thing is I'll be working on something and I'll forget to close it, and that'll just hang around for like a week or something if it doesn't show up.
Hmm.
I don't really see how that fits into a timeline, you know, like this is something that maybe I am still working on, but like, I woke up and there was three production issues this morning and I forgot about it, you know. Is that something that could actually show up, or is that not
So,
relevant to this
so
kind of
what do
deal?
you? I don't quite follow. So what about a timeline? You're saying it doesn't fit in a timeline. So what do you mean by
I
that?
guess like let's say I'm working on two different things, right? And then something
Yeah.
else comes to takes my attention in the same day, right? Like
Right.
yesterday I was working on two different things and then something took my attention and I worked all afternoon yesterday and this morning on it.
Right.
I guess I want to get back to that stuff that but I my attention was just taken away from that, you know. Would I just go
Mhm.
back and to look at yesterday's daily log, I guess? Is that the idea? Like I guess I want to see stuff that rolled over.
I think this is a little bit
Right.
of the
Right.
concept, Rick. We were talking about like suggesting things or something. I mean, is it something around that? Like when the daily, it's almost like the the tasks that roll over from sprint planning, or sorry, not sprint planning, retro. Like is there some a similar concept here where tasks kind of continue, and then Robin would see that in the when he started the day, like he would almost see like these tasks and be like, oh yeah, I finished that yesterday. Let me go ahead and close those or something. I think that's kind of a
Right.
little bit like, I mean, it put aside the UX part of that, like conceptually, because I do the same thing. I'm like working on something. Boom, I got to suspend to go work on something more higher priority temporarily. I come back to it, finish it up, finish the PR up, but then forget to like do the Jira part of that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, back to the conversation earlier about action items rolling over. I guess it would be the same kind of idea, right? Even with you guys' ad hoc to dos, like if you have like a to do block, we could look at that block and be like, hey, there's three things that aren't checked off. So when the next day starts, we could kind of tell you, hey, these things aren't checked off. Do you want to drop them in your notebook today?
Well,
We could do
that's a
that.
good point. That's a good point too. To the checkbox idea is like I'm using that as my structured approach for the Jira stuff because I know I go back to that all every time, and that tells me if I check it off in my notebook, I need to make sure I close it in Jira. So it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone for me for that. It's just kind of an easier way to manage the other part of this.
Could
Mhm.
we just make it to where if you're checking it off in the daily, it automatically closes in Jira?
That'd be
Yeah,
epic.
potentially, yeah. Like it could ask you, like, hey, do you want me to automatically close these issues if you check them off, and then be smart about it. I love that idea. Anything we can do to automate away a lot of that kind of stuff and be smart about it would be pretty killer to me.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've heard from several customers is the challenge they have is with the development team is that their development team's working on the PRs and they're doing the merges, but they're having to constantly pull them back to kind of close out those issues in Jira or to update the status. And the it'd be interesting to see how we could tie that into simple things like I've got my checklist, and if I check it off my list, does that take it to the next status in the workflow, or does it close it out, or
Well, and some of that
giving
as a good example of that is like we could start to build some automations around what you talked about is like, if you close a PR, does it automatically put some action item in your activity feed to recommend the
right?
next status change? Like, and you just literally say yes, because we know the transitions, we know what your possible transitions would be, and obviously we could recommend if there's multiple types of transitions, and then like literally put it in the activity feed or in the assignments on the right side, depending on where it is. And it'd be like, hey, close this issue, and you click button and you're done. And then it could show up in multiple places. It could be in the log. It could, like in the log, you can imagine if it's a live block and it's on my log, and then we close it, we could almost in the log have a button that recommends you close the issue because the PR's been merged.
That'd be really cool.
So,
Yeah, I'm
Robin,
looking.
is that anywhere close address what you're talking about,
Yeah,
or did
and
we miss what
also
you're talking about?
yeah, I'm looking at that the log day view personalized thing, like where it shows you your like PRs waiting your review. You know, like what would be wrong with, you know, issues you left open overnight, you know, like do you want to close this out or you keep working, you know?
Mhm.
Like that I think that'd be really easy to do, and that would provide so much value to me personally.
Right. Yeah.